Next up is the discovery of the planet Neptune. But first, let's go back in time to 1781 for the discovery of the planet Uranus by Sir William Herschel. He's the only one in town with the big telescopes during that day. And he found Uranus by accident, actually. He thought he had found a comet. Nothing else would have moved against the background stars except comets. It was inconceivable to him that he could have discovered a planet because nobody had ever discovered a planet before. Mercury, Venus, Mars, Jupiter, and Saturn in the sky are visible to anyone who looks up. They don't require a telescope. He was in denial for so long. He thought he had seen a comet, and he would say things like, "Curious comet this is. It refuses to show any fuzz, as any good comet ought to." Fact is, the man discovered Uranus. So here's the question. Does Newton's law of gravity apply that far out in the solar system? Newton's laws of gravity had been tested between the Earth and the Moon and all the inner planets and the Sun, and it was working. It was good. It was powerful. It was predictive. And so here we are at the outer reaches of the solar system. Well, let's test that. We're in the era of testing ideas. So let's wait 70 years. And over those 70 years, we're going to get data on where Uranus is in its orbit. Okay? How long does it take Uranus to complete an orbit? 84 years. So 70 years is most of 84. So you're doing good. You've got a lot of good data to compare. You say, where should Uranus be according to Newton's laws? And where do I measure it to be in the solar system? Is there a difference or not? If it's bang on, we're good. Newton's laws work out there, we're fine. What we found is that they didn't match. Do we throw out Newton's laws? You know, they're pretty good. They're working for us. No one really wanted to abandon them. If you don't abandon them, what are your options? Maybe there's another source of gravity you haven't reconciled with your efforts. All the other sources of gravity you factored in, you're missing one. And if you included it, maybe that would account for why it looks like Uranus is behaving badly. So, thus began the hunt. British mathematician and astronomer John Couch Adams, he was a specialist in celestial mechanics. This is the physics and the mathematics of the movement of bodies in the solar system. And a French mathematician, Urbain Jean-Joseph Leverrier, did exactly the same thing. And it's a tricky problem because typically you would use Newton's laws by saying, here's a body and here's a body, calculate the force between them. This is different. Here we have the force between them, but there's some body out there and we don't know where it is or how much mass it has. So it's an inversion problem with Newton's laws. You have to calculate things backwards from what you're accustomed to, and that takes pages and pages of data and calculations to get it right. So each of these brilliant mathematicians predict where and when you should find the perturbing object that was out there. It happened to be Leverrier, who was friends with Johann Gottfried Galle in the Berlin Observatory. He was an astronomer there. Leverrier assisted him, told him, here's where you should look, and here's when you should look. Johann Galle looked where and when Leverrier said he should find it. Within 1 degree of the predicted position, he found a new planet. The planet to be known as Neptune. This was a triumph of mathematics and the laws of physics. It was a case where you weren't using the past history of rhythms to predict the next event. You do that with like the phases of the moon and eclipses and things where you have a good record of what it was doing before. This was a case where there was no previous record. A planet was predicted and discovered simply by laws of physics and understanding the operations of nature. This would shape the expectations of all subsequent discoveries in the solar system because Newton's laws were working. And next, we would apply those very same laws to the orbit of Mercury.